A listener production.
Hi, Natarsha Belling with you and welcome to the afternoon edition of The Briefing. Coming up in our deep dive, it is the greatest crisis that has rocked the British royal family since King Edward was forced to abdicate in 1936.
His Majesty the King has today initiated a formal process to remove the style, titles and honours of Prince Andrew.
Today, King Charles stripped his brother of a number of royal titles, including his birthright of Prince. But is this just the beginning of the end for Andrew, as he is now known, as the fallout continues over his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and horrific new allegations? But first, let's check the afternoon headlines this Friday, the 31st of October. Former New South Wales MP Gareth Ward has been sentenced to 5 years and 9 months in prison for the sexual abuse of 2 young men. Ward appeared via video link from Cessnock Prison in New South Wales, where he's been held since his conviction in July. Judge Sarah Ferguson set a non-parole period of 3 years and 9 months, meaning Ward could be released in April 2029. The former Kiama MP resigned from Parliament in August, just hours before he was set to be expelled. The 44-year-old was found guilty of offences committed in 2013 and 2015, including 3 counts of indecent assault and 1 of sexual intercourse without consent. In sentencing, Judge Sheed said the victims' impact statements were a powerful reminder of the lasting harm caused by Ward's actions. He is appealing his convictions. Tens of thousands of ultra-Orthodox Jewish men have flooded the streets of Jerusalem in a mass protest against military conscription. Crowds estimated at around 200,000 gathered for what organisers called the March of the Million, demanding the right to avoid Israel's mandatory army service. Many held signs reading, "Better to go to prison than to the army." The protest follows a Supreme Court ruling that ended long-standing exemptions for ultra-Orthodox men who study the Torah full-time, a decision that has sparked deep divisions inside Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's coalition. The standoff comes as Israel's military faces increasing pressure to bolster troop numbers amid the war in Gaza. And NASA has stepped in to correct Kim Kardashian after she questioned whether the 1969 moon landing really happened. On this week's episode of The Kardashians, Kim told actress Sarah Paulson she believes the mission was faked, claiming astronaut Buzz Aldrin had said so himself.
I think it was fake. I've seen a few videos on Buzz Aldrin talking about how it didn't happen. He says it all the time now in interviews.
Hours later, NASA's acting administrator, Sean Duffy, responded on X, tagging Kardashian and writing, quote, "Yes, we've been to the moon before 6 times. Duffy then invited Kim Kardashian to the upcoming Artemis launch in Florida. Now it's time to get into our deep dive on today's historic move by King Charles to strip his brother of more royal titles, including Prince. Andrew will now be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. He's also been kicked out of the Royal Lodge, along with his ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson. Joining us is Royal Correspondent Juliet Rieden, who warns there may be more damaging allegations to follow involving Andrew and other very powerful people and their relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Juliet, you've been a royal reporter for decades. Have you ever seen anything like we have seen that has unfolded today from Buckingham Palace and King Charles?
No, I haven't. I think it is fair to say that it is unprecedented. You know, the last time something like this happened, and there really isn't anything like this, but, you know, in 1917, Parliament brought in a thing called the Titles Deprivation Act to authorise enemies of the UK during the First World War to be deprived of their British peerages and titles. And that, of course, was because various British royals had close relations to Germany, and some held German titles, some even fought for Germany. So it was a wartime act, and this is very different.
And Juliet, in regards to in history, looking at many crises the royal family has faced, of course, some are comparing this to what the royal family faced in 1936 when the late Queen's uncle, King Edward, was forced to abdicate to marry Mrs. Simpson.
Yes, and I think that's a fair comparison, although very, very different circumstances. But that was the last time that a royal was forced to relinquish his titles because he wasn't deemed suitable for the position that his titles allowed him to have.
Now, in regards to the timeline of what has happened, we all knew that this posthumous memoir from Virginia Giuffre was set to be released towards the middle of October. Before its release around the world, Buckingham Palace and the King made a statement saying some of Andrew, as he is now known, titles, including the Duke of York, would be relinquished. Now, everyone thought that that was done and dusted. And then today, the bombshell announcement that he will actually lose his birthright and lose the title of Prince.
Yes, I mean, it was an awkward statement, that one, because it came from Prince Andrew to start with. And Prince Andrew said that he would no longer be using some of his titles. And that, as you say, included the Duke of York, it included his Order of the Garter, it included his HRH. But those titles still stood. And that really wasn't enough for the media, for the British public, for the Australian public. I think everyone thought, well, so what? So he doesn't use the titles. He's still got them. He's still got the big house. He's still got the privileges. This is not good enough. And I think behind the scenes, the King has been working pretty hard to try and fix this situation. He knew he had to take the titles off Andrew. He thought his hands were tied, that it would be an act of Parliament that was needed. I know they've been looking into all the legal ramifications and the constitutional protocol, and they have come up with this way, which allows the King to use a royal warrant to remove the titles. I mean, the King did not want parliamentary time taken up discussing Prince Andrew. Not only is that reputational suicide, it also is a real misuse of parliamentary time when there are so many more important things to be discussing with regards to the huge things that are going on in the world.
Also, we saw this week that King Charles was out and about and he was heckled by someone in the crowd, basically asking the monarch exactly what the royal family knew about Prince Andrew and his links with convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. That's never happened before in history.
No, and that would have been really a hard thing to face for the King. I think where the royal family have been slow, where the monarchy machine has been slow, is not coming out and talking about the victims of Jeffrey Epstein earlier. Of course, Prince Andrew is still denying that he had anything to do with what went on in Jeffrey Epstein's House of Horrors. He presumably could have seen things that he could have shared with the police in America, and he hasn't done that. And the royal family really needed to get on the front foot with this and talk about the victims. You know, Queen Camilla works behind the scenes a lot with vulnerable women. I'm sure she was talking to her husband. I'm sure that she was involved in this decision to come forward quickly and with a fast solution that would end Andrew's time within the royal family.
Juliet, we mentioned earlier that the Virginia Giuffre's memoir has been released. Just a couple of weeks ago, we also saw a very explosive book released on Prince Andrew called Entitled by Andrew Lowney. Do you think there are more allegations to come after this? Because it seems both of these books have opened the floodgates for other people to come forward with some pretty serious allegations.
Look, I wouldn't be surprised if there are more allegations, put it that way. I certainly don't know myself of more allegations. But Virginia Giuffre's book is extraordinary. It is a piece of incredible bravery. I think the tragedy here, of course, is her taking her own life and this being her legacy. It is so tragic that the family here say that today Virginia Giuffre declares victory. Of course, she's victorious here, but, she's lost her life, and she had her life devastated by the actions of Jeffrey Epstein and, as she alleges, by the actions of Prince Andrew.
Absolutely. And in regards to what happens from here for Andrew, there has been speculation that this is or could be a strategic move by the royal family and King Charles to get rid of all of Andrew's titles, that there is an increased probability, although he's always denied any of the allegations, that Andrew could face serious charges. Do you think that is possible?
Look, to my knowledge, there isn't the evidence for that yet, but certainly the Metropolitan Police will be looking into recent revelations that Prince Andrew may have used his security officer to look into Virginia Giuffre's background, to try and find dirt on Virginia Giuffre. That is certainly a misuse of public funds in his private security officer, and also it's deeply unethical, of course. He was sharing personal details if this allegation is true. I think now the focus is going to move over to what is happening in America, to the other victim survivors who are going to be emboldened by this and want to go further, and so they should be. And I think other people will certainly be implicated, and possibly maybe there will be more allegations about Prince Andrew.
Juliet, do you think we will see more people come forward now and make more damning allegations, not only against Andrew, but other very powerful people that we know could possibly be involved, allegedly involved, as you said, in Jeffrey Epstein's House of Horrors?
Look, Virginia Giuffre's book mentions other people. Some of them are not mentioned by name, they're mentioned by title. They're very powerful people. I'm sure the lawyers were at play there with removing names. It will be a big piece of legal workings over in America to try and get those names revealed. Now, in Prince Andrew's case, it wasn't just Virginia Giuffre's book that had allegations against him. It was those emails that were revealed. And that proved that Prince Andrew was lying in that 2019 interview when he said he had cut ties with Jeffrey Epstein. He did not cut ties with Jeffrey Epstein, if those emails are correct. And if Prince Andrew lied about that, what else has he lied about?
Do you think we may hear more from Sarah Ferguson and Prince Andrew, that they've clearly been cut off from the royal family, they have nothing to lose, and that they will themselves name names and reveal exactly what happened with Jeffrey Epstein?
I think that's highly unlikely. I mean, the King has taken this action, but we understand that Andrew has agreed. Well, he has not objected to the action. I think if Andrew were to take any further action, and if Andrew were to start trying to defend himself anymore, then it would be terrible for the royal family, but it also would be terrible for him. His reputation is already in tatters. I think the best thing Andrew can do if he wants to make his situation any better is to talk to the police, to share what he saw, to talk about the other people who were there. He may well be denying those accusations against him, and that may well be the case, that he didn't do anything wrong himself, but he was in that house, he was on that island, he knew Jeffrey Epstein very well as a close friend. He saw those different girls in those houses, he saw the other people that were in those houses. It's time for him to step up and do the right thing.
Do you think this could be the end of the monarchy, Juliet, in regards to, we all know, you've just said it earlier, that King Charles was too late to act on this. There's been many critics today saying it's not about reprimanding Andrew, it's about protecting the monarchy and saving face. Do you think this could force King Charles to abdicate?
No, absolutely not. And, I think that King Charles has acted as quickly as he could within the framework of the legal boundaries of his role. Yes, he is monarch, but really removing titles, these involve very complex constitutional issues and legal issues. And I know that they have all been sifting through that in order to try and find a way that this particular circumstance that we have today could happen. I don't think that King Charles will abdicate at all. I think hopefully this will embolden King Charles to separate himself completely from his brother and to get on with the job at hand, which is monarch, and which he is, I think, doing quite a good job at.
We really appreciate your analysis, and thanks so much for joining us, Juliet.
Thanks, Tash.
That was Royal Correspondent Juliet Rieden. And that's it for this episode of the afternoon edition of The Briefing. We'll be back tomorrow with the weekend briefing, and on tomorrow's episode, Antoinette is joined by Thai cave rescue diver Dr. Richard Harris.
The idea of anaesthetising or sedating them was floated to me, and my first response was that is impossible. I mean, it's never been done before. The idea of rendering someone unconscious for a 3-hour journey like that was, in my mind, as ludicrous as the idea of having the kids awake. But having been on site for 24 hours or so, I could actually realise that there was no other thing to do. We either leave those kids in there and let them die over the next weeks, from exposure or starvation, or we give this a chance and at the very least return them to their parents who are waiting outside anxiously. So I agreed to do it.
We'd love you to subscribe or follow us on Instagram at The Briefing Podcast. I'm Natarsha Belling. See you next time.